Thank you very much for inviting me. This is a great place to be, and actually it's a strategically good place too, because Tennessee and especially Knoxville is so good place to start many trips to the north, to the east, to the west, and to the south. I have been already to many places, so I like this place more and more. Thank you. Now about about my talk. It's actually very simple. This is reciprocal altruism. You know about this type of cooperation, the type of sociality very much, especially because you are more mathematically oriented, theoretically oriented people. In mathematics, these things are very popular and also quite rewarding. If you have a good model in the field of reciprocity of altruism, you can get publication in Nature and Science and other journals quite easily. This is not not easy to do when you do field research. So we started our research in 2004 or 2003, so quite many years ago, and still no paper, any single paper in Nature and Science. So I'm a bit complaining, of course, but but I would like to talk and show why this may happen so, and why progress in this field is so slow, and what can be done by empiricists and theoreticians together to expand the field. So I see possibility for great success quite soon in this field. And now I have to learn how to use those systems. So as you know, cooperation in general is a paradox in evolutionary theory. It's just because if you help anybody today, you may expect some reward only in future, and therefore it's reciprocity is so easy to study and explain in human societies. It's not easy to do in animal societies, because it's not easy to tell different individuals from each other. And so this time gap between behavior, between helping, assisting others, and gaining your own future reward, this is puzzling, and it makes this field really hard to study. And natural selection, so we usually think that in nature everything should be selected so that only those the healthiest, the strongest, the quickest can survive much better. But as you know, animals may behave strikingly unselfish way, and they, in many respects, do the same things as we do. And so now back to science. Cooperation. There are many ideas and many ways how to reach true cooperation in animals and in humans. Kin selection, this is known as also as altruism. Reciprocity, this is what we know as reciprocal altruism. And there are many more, and also this new generalized reciprocity ideas how to reach a stable cooperation, because stability is what is usually missing from our observations and from your models. I'm going to talk about reciprocity, about interactions between non-kin individuals, and the best studies, I believe, besides our studies, of course. I'm trying to attract your attention. But to my person, I believe that the best ones, and actually we started to look into this field just because of studies by Gerald Wilkinson. Gerald Wilkinson inspired my group, and that was very beginning. And since that, I try to follow his research as much as possible. So you know that those vampire bats are able to for reciprocity. They live in groups, and when any member of those groups are close to starvation, because not every night you can hunt successfully. Other members of the group can support you by blood meal, but only the blood meal is given only to those who were supportive and cooperative before. Since that, Gerald Wilkinson has done quite much research, and there are more papers published, because this one is published in Nature, and since that there were difficulties because I'm going to talk about them quite shortly. We tried to look whether one other interesting type of behavior, namely bird mobbing, and here you can see bird mobbing. This is one of the oldest, I believe, the oldest painting of animal mobbing, when prey individuals come aggregate around the predator and try to move it away, because it's dangerous to have a predator in their territories. We performed quite simple experiment, and here is nest box A. We placed an owl, a stuffed owl here. Before this owl was stuffed, we captured those birds secretly away from birds A at the nest box B. And when it was done, these birds C and these three nest boxes are placed in like a triangle, and the distance between these birds is something like 24 meters. So quite close, not very close, not just next door, but very close. And so we looked, and all of those birds C came and mobbed, helped to mob the owl at the nest box A. Then we removed the owl, released birds B, and the most important question was 1 hour later. We placed two owls, one at nest box C, these were cooperative neighbors, and the nest box B, which were we made them as defectors. And so the question was which nest box will be assisted, supported by birds from nest box A. It's very easy. So as you can see here, cooperators from nest box B were supported in 30 cases. Non-cooperators, defectors, were supported in 0 cases. And in 2 cases, these birds from nest box A remain at their own nest box. So conclusions from this part are that breeding pied flycatchers, and you can see here that pied flycatcher also comes to this picture as a shadow. We can explain it as a kind of tit-for-tat strategy, and evolution of mobbing behavior in birds may be explained in terms of reciprocal altruism. And so difficulties I mentioned, we are experienced while trying to publish our results, and also Gerald Wilkinson experienced in publishing his future results, where was the following. Quite many people thought that animals hasn't any cognitive ability for playing those games. This was the first objection, and tit for tat is not good enough to promote cooperation. I'm going to talk about a bit later, and maybe this is not reciprocal altruism at all. I'm going to talk about those two ones. First of all, I would just to draw your attention to such interesting cases when domestic animals are so much attached to their masters that probably many of you have seen that movie about this Hachiko dog. This film is by Hollywood, and Richard Gere is starring in that film. So that's a nice film. And so basic idea was that this dog, who always came to the railway station near Tokyo, when his master died in Tokyo, Professor Ueno, he continued to come to this railway station for 9 years, every day at 5 o'clock. And the people, in the very beginning, they tried to get the dog away because they didn't realize, they didn't understand what this dog is waiting here every day, why this dog is so nasty. When they knew why is that, then when the dog died, many people could come to his graveyard. And there, if you would like to go and see those places, it's easy to reach. If you go to, if you go to Shibuya Station in Tokyo, this is one of the most busiest crossings in the world. You can easily find Hachiko monument because there are many signs showing how to reach that. We performed one study to check whether maybe this is not always about cognitive abilities, but still it shows that animals should reach many decisions before breeding is successful. There are two species involved. This is great titmouse, one of most common bird in Europe. It's sedentary, and this is pied flycatcher, you already know. As soon as we placed two nest boxes very close, in 2 meters from one another, and when great tit occupied one of those, we attached those geometrical figures around, or triangles or circles around the entrance, and placed two another nest boxes in 25 meters. Actually, these birds would like to, these are migratory birds, and we knew that migratory birds try to learn as much as possible from sedentary ones, because they know the sedentary ones know much more about the place, and so it's much safer to come and stay together. Actually, sedentary birds don't like these neighbors because this is about competition. They compete for the same resource for their offspring. And what we found that these birds really like to come close to great tits. We had one more manipulation. We manipulated with number of eggs in those nest boxes. We increased number of eggs, adding artificial eggs, and we decreased for some time. So we had two groups of great tits, high fitness group and low fitness group. So the result basically is that pied flycatchers liked to settle down close to great tits. They always liked great tits with many eggs in the nest box, and they nearly always, if there's a triangle, they also try to select nest boxes with triangle on the entrance. So they try to learn as much as possible, and this sounds like cognitive abilities. And as you see here, this pied flycatcher is killed by great tit, and because information is costly. And so these are results. And now back to the question about where there are those great possibilities for theory and empirical science to work together. First of all, I like the simulation by Samuel Bowles, who is an economy scientist, who showed as the first one that group size. So if the group size, we believe that if the group size increases, then sociality should bring more benefits because of protection against predators, because of some perhaps other benefits. Of course, there are costs, but we know that the larger is a group, the more mistakes you can find in communication. So communication is not reliable, gets less reliable, and he showed that with increasing group size, as you see here, group size of 2 individuals and group size of 4, it immediately this error rate immediately starts to rise, which means that there should be some mechanisms preventing us away from errors in communication. We try to evaluate whether birds know something about noise in communication, about errors in communication, and we just imagined one very simple thing, which is that if the birds are so sensitive to those who don't come and assist them, and they always try to punish those non-assisting, non-cooperators, then perhaps there are some situations when those birds just fly too far away. They are not able to hear that there is alarm going on. They are not able to come in the right time, because and when they come, they immediately should be punished, because theory predicts that tit for tat should play like if you don't help me, I should punish you. So the question was whether birds can discriminate between real defection or from the absence of their neighbors. And here are two groups. Again, distance between 2 nest boxes is, and this is absent neighbor group. One of those neighbors are captured before. Then we placed the owl, and 1 hour later we placed the owl at this defector and looked at the behavior of these birds, whether those are going to assist or not. And as you see here, there are no sounds, nothing. So no neighbors, no sounds, no no any sign of their presence. And this is absent neighbor group. While in this defecting neighbor group, we played the alarm calls. So these guys were away, but neighbors were able to hear the alarm calls. And predictions were if there are some mechanisms sensitive to the noise of in communication, then birds should be able to discriminate. And so they next time when this is like defection from the neighbors in absent neighbor group, but they are not able to put the behavior into this category of defection, of real defection, then still the next move, those birds should go and assist non-cooperators. And now back to results. So absent neighbor group, defecting neighbor group, and this is a number of pairs assisted neighbors and remained at their own nest. So in absent neighbor group, nearly all birds still assisted their neighbors. And in defecting neighbor groups, nearly all birds punished their neighbors. You remember, these guys were captured, but they gave alarm calls. So, what is this strategy? This was not strict tit for tat, because it was not. This was not tit for two tats. No any sign of forgiving in single cooperative move, and this was not a Pavlov strategy either. So we proposed that this is some kind of excuse subcategory. They were able to excuse in those cases when they felt that this is not a real defection. So they didn't defect, and they were not. If the neighbors didn't defect, really, because there were no any sign of. Birds can go quite far away sometimes for foraging, and this is we invented this excuse subcategory, and so and this is a paper we showed those results a bit more, and so the main thing here is that in strict tit for tat or classical tit for tat strategy, you should use this forgiving every time, because before you forgive your neighbors or partners, this cooperation cannot be resumed at all, and this is a big problem. So I would like to emphasize here that the situation when birds can discriminate between real defection and perhaps something like defection, but maybe my neighbors still were not able to come because of some special reason. This is this can happen only when those birds are able for empathy. I discussed this by exchanging emails with Frans de Waal, and he agrees that this is real empathy, and suggested me always use this term in our papers, because in the previous paper that was not clearly told. And empathy is ability to understand emotions, feelings, and situations you are in for instance, your inability to assist or inability to express something good. So generally, in tit for tat, there is a big problem because if just imagine that if you just wanted to follow those special rules, so if you ask someone, if I'm asking someone to help me, and you help me, and then basically it's so that you ask me to help you, I help you at this move, and at some point the same person is asked to help me, and she or he is not going to do that. In this case, even if I realize that this person was busy, or maybe sick, or there are millions of different other reasons for be too slow or not efficient, you still need to punish and then forgive, which is a self-destroying system. And therefore, tit for tat is not good to explain cooperation in general. What we suggest here is that if especially humans, if we are capable of evaluating empathic enough to be able to understand which individuals actually can support us, because there are some individuals which are you immediately can decide that this person is cannot support you because there are some risks related to this behavior. So it's not. So if we use our mental abilities for evaluating what shall we do at the next move, then we don't need this really heavy construction of forgiving principle. Excuse principle replaces it much better because it gives possibility to introduce something like principles based on thinking, principles based on evaluating, not just I'm sorry, I still need to punish you, and this is too self-destroying. Next thing I would like to draw your attention is if those I mentioned tit for two tats, which means that I should wait for two defections, and then next time, then I should punish that person, that individual. So this means that if these animals should be able to count one defection, second defection, which means that mental ability should be really good. Next, what about this general tit for tat? Who knows what is that? Okay, there are some good ideas about that. Interactions between individuals should be based also on reputations. So if animals base their behavior on reputation, that they should be able to remember not only previous moves of their social partners, they should also have to remember huge amount of social information. And this is one of ideas why we have so big brains. We don't need big brains just for playing chess or just for playing yeah. One of the most interesting ideas that we have big brains just to remember who were our classmates, who were best friends of those, who were parents of those, best friends of those, our best or our enemies. And so these things we still remember, and perhaps, and if animals also remember, are able to base their behaviors on those reputations, then they should have much bigger brains. Seems that this is not necessary. You just need to use your mental abilities to evaluate why your potential or partner or your real partners were able to assist you, and if not, why they did it. And so therefore I would like to draw your attention. This excuse principle is much better than because it removes quite stupid constructions which are embedded in this tit for tat principle. This is too self-destructive, and therefore even Martin Novak invented the idea that first there's tit for tat, but it should be replaced by generous tit for tat, because and this is already quite complex system. Look at those different strategies. The more we go into research of cooperation, the more we get. It's time to replace this quantity by some kind of quality. And so, yeah, animals are they are smart enough, and actually the forgiving principle is main problem in cooperation, because it's too heavy, because it's connected and related, and then comes together with punishment. And so this is excuse principle makes behaviors more plastic, adjustable, and less prone for self-damage. I would do I have some minutes, or this is over? 5 minutes. Okay. In 5 minutes, I would like to tell you a bit more what should be included in research of cooperation. This is personality, and personalities are, yeah, you know that we all are of different personalities, and this is energetically costly. This is not just for free. What we did, we performed very simple tests. One test is this novel object test, boldness test. So if the bird sees some kind of strange object on the top of nest box, it may stop for a few seconds. It's feeding of its nestlings, or it can stop for 2 hours, because shy birds are they are different from bold ones. And then we looked at predator test just half an hour later, and predator, this is no comments needed. So it's here I would like to tell you that when we placed the ball on the top of the nest box, some birds were really shy. Some as you remember, they resumed the nestling feeding quite quickly. And in those birds who resumed nestling feeding of the nestlings quickly, they didn't any alarm call. They just looked at the ball, sometimes grabbed the ball, sometimes and moved away. No sounds of alarm, nothing like no sign of that they are scared. So this is exploration with exploration. So shy and exploration with no alarm, and shy birds, in contrast to those bold ones, explored with alarm, they were shy. They tried to keep very far away, and they always gave alarm calls. And usually, those alarm calls attracted other neighboring birds, which immediately come together, come to that place and mobbed, and started to mob something. There were no predator; there was just a ball. And next time, when these shy birds the predator was shown to those shy birds, these shy birds gave alarm calls, but no neighbors came to them. And while both birds, of course, gave alarm calls, and all neighbors were came to that place, and it was real mobbing. So it shows that shy birds are not reliable social partners, and this should be taken into account. Also, when you think about theories, because this is completely shocking finding, because you cannot. These are different, and perhaps many of you know this model. A model is there are two axes: stress reactivity and coping style. Reactive coping, so shy birds and docile birds, these are reactive, while panicky and bold ones, those are proactive. When there's something new, proactive birds go and explore more. These are more explorative birds, and these are less. And as you see, stress reactivity, when there is some stressor around, then bold birds, they don't pay much attention to stressors. But panicky or shy, they are really stressed. And what we so if we place something like a ball or a new object or predator, so it was expected that bold birds should come closer, panicky the next, and shy birds should stay very far away. And what we did, we gave those birds precursor of serotonin. And as you know, serotonin is very important in most animal species. High levels of anxiety, fear, and impulsive behavior. This is related to low levels of brain serotonin. And this is the amount of tryptophan, which is precursor of serotonin, given to each bird every day for 7 days. 2 different balls were used. The main thing here is that, look, shy birds, the bold birds didn't change exploration time of the ball, these two colors. And please look here. Shy birds explored the ball for a long time. After this serotonin treatment, they started to explore the ball much shorter time. And what is exploration time? I would like to come back to this. Exploration time actually means this is not related to stress reactivity. This is related to coping style. And these reactive birds actually started to be more explorative because I would like to show you that this is exploration distance. Both birds didn't change anything in exploration distance after serotonin, while shy birds and docile birds, they immediately came closer, which means this is change in this coping style. And finally, this minimum distance. As you see here, shy birds and docile birds, they came closer, and they were not that extremely fear of predators and bulls. So this means actually that serotonin made behavior of shy and docile birds more reliable. And maybe this is not polite here in the United States, because quite much of treatment of many people is based on the usage of antidepressants. But I have to tell you this, but it killed personality, because those birds started to behave as just average birds should behave, perhaps. And what's important here, I would like just to emphasize one final point. Personality, and this is, we usually look at shy or bold. Personality is more difficult to understand, because personality, this is coping style, this is stress, resistance to stress, and as you see here, antidepressants actually affect both. Before, it was considered that antidepressants just affect stress levels, but this is not true, and it explains one of problems with the use of antidepressants, because antidepressants means that it's not always efficient to use antidepressants. This is which makes psychiatry quite difficult science in general. And so the future research in the field of reciprocity, it's still important, though some newest textbooks, I found that there are no even reciprocity is even not mentioned, because it's too complex actually. I hope I convinced you that there's some future in reciprocity, because one of my suggestions is that we should take into account mental capabilities of animals. Empathy should be taken into account, and of course personality. Otherwise, there is no future. But otherwise, thank you very much, and also thank you the Fulbright Program. Thank you.